back when we visited the cliffs of Union Despair very often. Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where we swear to talk about the Philly Union, the whole Philly Union, and nothing but the Philly Union with as few digressions as possible. We are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Eric.
And welcome to this week's episode.
Who are you people?
Yeah, this is a first for us. It's a fully live and in-person post-game podcast. We're recording here as E and C were headed back home after the game, and they stopped off, and we're going to get a recording in here just at the same, before midnight here on Wednesday. As far as housekeeping this week, we cracked 300 downloads this past week, so thank you very much.
This is so weird being across the table with people. Okay.
So we're almost a third of a way to the Help Us Help the You challenge.
Yes, that's what it was called. I couldn't remember the name. Help Us Help the You.
So keep it going. Please do what you can to get, share it if you're enjoying it. Let people know. And this week we have a special guest host, my son Nate.
Hi.
In studio guest. Welcome to the podcast.
First time we're able to say that, huh?
It's really great having you here. Thanks for coming in, man.
Really
Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
This is very professional. Definitely not, over a coffee table.
It's not a coffee table. It's
a very nice.
It is when I spill my coffee on it.
It's okay.
All right.
So, hold up. I want to say something. What is the help us help you challenge? I obviously have not.
So what we're doing is, if we get to 1,000 downloads before the end of the season, we're going to make a donation to the Philadelphia Union Foundation. If we don't get there until October, was it October?
Yeah.
Then we're just going to give $100. If we get there in September, we'll increase that by 100. And every month that we get there ahead of that end of the season, we'll increase it by 100. So we're trying to get as many downloads as we can, but honestly, not just having, people just run up downloads if we can help it.
Yeah, we want to keep this as sincere as possible.
It's true to form. Want to be truthful.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already, this is our 13th episode, lucky number 13, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And, so by the end of the season, we'll be up into the 30s or 40s. So, we could be, it'll probably be in around 30. I'm trying to think. We started in February.
30, yeah.
It'll be just over 6 months or so.
I was even thinking too, what are we going to do during off season? We're going to keep going every week, or?
Well, we'll have some time to figure that out.
Yeah.
But something to talk about.
Maybe we'll just be recordings of us deciding, hey, do you want to record this week? Let's do it next week. Okay. Let's post it.
13 episodes and 18 games, if my count is correct. So that's
it's pretty fast, or pretty busy.
Is that including
couple months
tonight?
And
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If my math is right.
Well, that's not a good segue.
Yeah, let's get into the games. So Saturday, the Union flew out to Colorado. Colorado were they in 8th place?
Yeah, on my notes here, that's the position they were in when that game started.
And the Union were in 6th place?
Uh-huh.
Okay. The Union surprised a lot of people. Curtin surprised a lot of people, rolling out that 3-5-2.
3-5-2, yeah.
Pretty defensive looking 3-5-2 with 3 center backs, Glesnes, Elliott, and Lowe, with Mbaizo and Wagner technically in the midfield. Flock at the defensive midfielder position since Martinez was out. And
was he out because of cards, or was that still injury?
I think that was injury.
Okay. That was still injury. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Gazdag and Carranza were up top, and McGlynn and Bedoya were in the midfield as well. But it was the first time or second time this year, I think, that they rolled out a 3-5-2. The last time, I believe, they lost 1-0 in Cincinnati, and this was a far better result for the
Mm-hmm. Although with Elliott and Glesnes on defense, that kind of counts right there as 3 people. So this is really a 4-5-2.
Yeah, they did partner. They do partner well back there, and Lowe has been showing some decent skill back there. Trying to close people down quick. I don't know if he's just really engaged at playing for the Union, or if he's trying to make a statement, just really earn some starting time, and it's good to see Curtin recognize that and find a way to make that happen for him.
Yeah. Going into this game, Rapids had a 7-game unbeaten streak.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which we popped that balloon.
Yes, we did.
Hey.
Yeah.
But it looked like they were going to be in good. Things were looking good for the Rapids early on. They earned a foul at the top of the box after a VAR review. It was actually determined that the foul occurred in the box.
Yeah.
In honesty, the referee got it right. With the VAR review, gave him the PK, and PK is your I don't know what the overall worldwide percentage is, but it's got to be up over 70% that you're going to score. And sure enough, Colorado takes a 1-0 lead.
Former Wolves player, I think, right? I remember hearing that.
Yes.
Connor Ronan. Yeah, former Wolves guy. So
decent pedigree player to
take it. Absolutely. Yeah, that was. I remember when that foul happened, and I think he originally called it outside, but it went to VAR. It's like watching the VAR. It's that hope dies last. I'm like, oh, please don't let this be a PK. I'm like, every time I play the replay, I'm like, yeah, it's got to be a PK.
Yeah. But I mean, how did you guys feel after that? Like after they went down 1-0, it was what, the 20th minute, 25th minute?
38th minute, actually.
Was it that late?
Yeah, that late in the game.
I thought it was earlier. Okay.
I definitely felt earlier.
I think my first thought was, like, gut reaction was, oh no, not again. If I'm honest, I'm definitely the negative voice of this podcast, but
well, someone's got to represent negative.
here I am.
Yeah, right. It's like you are a Philly fan.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it didn't last long. I mean, that was the gut reaction, but
yeah, I mean, and I think it's probably because I'm spoiled by the Union from last year and even the last few years. But going down in the first half, I always feel like the Union they still have a chance.
Yes.
oh yeah,
They're not out of it.
Yeah.
as long as they don't think they're out of it, they're not out of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so long as we haven't totally been decimated by COVID, we should be fine.
Well, but there were years there where as soon as they went down one, they were just done.
Oh yeah.
They might as well just call it. That was the early days, the bad old days.
Yeah, but back when we visited the cliffs of Union despair very often.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul, because I felt like in that first half, I wasn't worried yet, and you can see the way they play. They play with that confidence, and then by going into after that first half, I have a note down here that they totally had the momentum going in their direction.
Well, I mean, just but now before the end of the half,
that's what I mean.
They got things back on track.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was it was the two outside backs who moved upfield. They got positioned upfield in that 3-5-2 that made that goal happen.
Yep.
And Bizo was in first half stoppage time. He makes a great run up the right side. He gets fed the ball, takes it to the end line, cuts it back to Carranza. Carranza, unfortunately is heading away from goal. And instead of trying to force a turn, he just smartly lays the ball off to an on-rushing Wagner who it's a blistering shot.
It's a bullet. Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly where you want to shoot. It's high enough that the keeper thinks he can stop it with his hands, but low enough that he can't get down that low, and just beautifully into the side net. And so the Union, despite giving up that PK, they managed to tie it up before halftime on a great goal by Wagner. So I mean, that's 3 goals for him in like 2 weeks.
He's living up to that attacking defender position. Yeah. And that's the other thing, like Carranza. There's so many players on the Union that I just really enjoy watching them play. And Carranza is kind of leading the charge with Gazdag on the goals, but Franz is such a team player. They're all team players. And that goal was such an example of that, like how, he's right there at the top of the box.
He wants to turn.
He wants to turn and shoot, but he just that beautiful layback because he saw Wagner come running in, and it's just like, yeah, team first, and it's just really great to see that.
But that said, I mean, starting the second half, the momentum was going their way, and Carranza got his chance.
Yep. I think I said Carranza knows, like, look, I can let other people get a goal because I know I'm just going to get more.
And sure enough, in the 52nd minute, he got his goal.
Yeah.
I remember. I know I just watched the recap earlier tonight, but the game was last week, and I'm trying to remember exactly, or it was Saturday. The setup for that goal, I thought that one was more from distance for him.
Yeah, McGlynn had a leading pass off to Bizo, who was just running down the sideline, and then I'm checking my notes here. Yeah, and then he crossed it to the center, and then Carranza had that really nice, just one time, right into the net. Yeah, but yeah, I started with McGlynn, and Mabizo was just running down that sideline.
Speaking of McGlynn, we got that special dispensation for keeping McGlynn for the Colorado game. What's his name? Aaron? No, not Aaron. Quinn Sullivan and Brendan Craig had already left for the U.S. national team, youth national team, but we got permission to keep McGlynn for the Colorado game, and he's once again proven that he can find a pass.
Yeah,
he can absolutely find a pass. He's a ton of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much after that second, the Union got the lead. It kind of just seemed to choke out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not that they weren't trying to score. It's not like it wasn't, but it really just felt like it was all in Colorado's half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I noticed too that Colorado, it started getting a little chippier.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
The substitute?
Barrios. Well, they substituted a lot, but there was the one guy, Abubakar, that's right, whose mom was there from Ghana.
Yes.
And his sister.
Yeah. And they said this was the first time watching him play, at least in the MLS. Which was nice, but he was getting pretty hot under the collar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Carranza was saying stuff or just kicking him when the camera wasn't on him. But he was angry.
Yeah. There was that interesting collision with Blake. What was his name? Cabral.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard on the replay. I definitely don't think it was intentional. I mean, the Cabral was chasing the ball, right, as any striker wants to do.
Mm.
Blake came out falling, grabbing the ball, which is what a goalkeeper wants to do, and that lagging foot of Cabral.
Cabral was wrong. He should have gotten a red. No.
Showing that you are unbiased.
Yeah.
Totally unbiased.
Despite the name of the podcast and all that.
We are totally unbiased.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, there was no injury involved, but he did get the yellow card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's reckless. Okay. I think so. Intentional? No, I don't think it was intentional. And equally important, I'm glad Blake didn't suffer any injury from that.
I would say more importantly, we lose Blake. And we got issues.
I've said it before. When he goes down, I hold my breath and the game stops until he gets back up.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters to me. So.
I wonder if a lot of players are kind of like, I want to get into this game. I want to do this game. Except Joe Bendick. I don't. No. If Blake comes out, that's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go in there and do as best of a job as I can, but
yeah. I think Bendick would love to play, but he would prefer to start because Blake's traveling for Jamaica or something like that, rather than the times that he was in already this year.
Yeah.
Those are huge shoes to fill, but it certainly continued then in the second half stoppage time. There were 7 minutes of stoppage time, and
before we get to there were a lot of yellow cards in this game. Leading up. I think there was at least
9 yellow cards total in this game. I think
8 total.
8 total.
and then stoppage time.
Oh,
And
well,
then stoppage time.
This was the another insert yourself.
Yeah, the ref.
He was. I'm sure we had him earlier this season. I don't remember what game, but I recognized him. And
well, how could you not with that hair?
He has very distinct posture too when he
a little flamenco dancing.
Yeah. So where was I going with that? Sorry.
Inserting himself
into the game quite a bit, and to the point that there was some talk even just among commentators that it was hard for them to get anything going at certain points because he was just constantly stopping play.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's 7 minutes for each half, right? Like 7 minutes stoppage time for each half.
Was it for the first half too?
I think it was.
Yeah. Good memory, Nate. Good job.
Yeah. So like you said, it was definitely getting chippy, and I don't know what made them put Barrios on, but I was like pouring gasoline on the fire.
Yeah. I don't want to say he was playing with a chip on his shoulder, but he was
angry.
He was playing angry.
He was angry.
He was playing angry. Yeah, and that ball, that leading ball through the Union, the inside the goal box, Blake comes out just to kind of shield the ball, and Barrios comes up. Typical play, right? You just kind of shield the ball, shield the player from the ball as it rolls out, and he does that just double arm shove right in the back of Blake. He just goes right into the signboards.
I mean, just egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it was our keeper or anyone else,
it was pretty bad.
Was egregious. Yeah. So,
and I got to imagine there's probably fewer, more unsettling sights than seeing both Elliot and Glesnes size people come running at you with very angry looks on their face. Because
particularly Glesnes.
Yeah.
If you were me, but yeah.
Yeah, they were the first two on the scene. And
Glesnes was out for.
I mean, Elliot, I think he just slammed into him. I mean,
neither of them used their arms; they just used their bodies.
Yeah.
When you've got a foot of height on the guy,
and it turned into a pretty good, just big old melee.
Yeah, big old one like the one last season. Like I don't think I've seen one that big since like last season when the athletic trainer got like a red.
That will go down in the annals of Union history.
Yeah, but the defenders were just defending their keeper at that point.
Yeah.
There was so much jawing back and forth. Like I really don't understand what the Colorado Rapids players thought they could do to defend Barrios. I mean, if that had been mine, I would have just grabbed him and get him back to our side of the field before he gets rightly beat up.
Exactly. It's just damage control at that point. Just get him out.
And I really didn't understand why Galvin grabbed Glesnes the way he did. And I know there was a combination between what Bueno did and what Galvin did, and then they threw Glesnes to the ground, and then Galvin, basically landed on top of him. And it's like, why he jumped on Glesnes, Galvin jumped on Glesnes's back at the ball, I don't understand.
Like watching the replay, Galvin, it did look like not successfully or effectively. It did seem like he was trying just to break it up, but then it turned into that somewhat suplex kind of move to get Glesnes out.
It wasn't like he was trying to separate Glesnes from somebody or restrain Glesnes from attack because Glesnes wasn't going after anybody. He was standing in front of people and
he was in the thick of it.
But then Galvin just kind of just latched onto the back of him,
grabbed his spin thing and they were on the ground.
Yeah, and then Barrios kept going at Lowe and Blake, and and it was very clear the referee the whole crew lost all control.
Yeah, I didn't see what Bueno did.
Bueno, they show it on the replay. They end up getting it in VAR. He kind of goes into the neck of Galvin as he's trying to pull him off. Plus, at one point, I'm pretty confident it was accidentally, but he did with his left arm strike him in the head.
Yeah, okay.
And that sort of stuff is going to get you a card.
Yeah.
So, huge hullabaloo and second half stoppage. Couple of yellow cards handed out. VAR called on. Resulted in 2 red cards, one for Galvin on the Rapids and one for Bueno in the Union.
Yeah.
And then basically he just called the game.
Yeah.
The game done at that point.
And what's that like 14 minutes of extra time after that, or
Yeah, we were well into the 14th minute of stoppage
When he
time
finally
when he
blew
finally
it.
blew whistle. I think Galvan, like, he totally deserves that red card, but in a way, he also, like, I don't know if there's a prize. Again, a guy of his stature
taking down
Glesnes, like, yeah, you deserve the red card, but that's also impressive.
Very much trying to figure out the physics of that.
Yeah.
I did not succeed. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
If you remember, he was also undeterred in that he was yelling at the Union bench as he exited.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
Spanish, and Allie was already off the
I
field,
suspect.
and we had already seen Allie up with Jim yelling at someone. I don't know if
It was- I
the
think
other
it was-
coach or the fourth official.
He might have been the fourth official, and Curtin actually had to kind of pull Allie back.
Yeah.
Restrain
So
Alley.
pretty. I mean, he was yelling in Spanish. I know Allie can give as good as he gets in Spanish as
I'm
well.
sure.
So pretty sure that might have been happening, but you couldn't see our side, so who knows? But
So we go from that 2-1 Union win, which we all predicted the Union would get a win.
And it was a spirited win.
It was
Mhm.
where the referee felt like he needed to insert himself and then lost control. And then we
Yeah.
come to this midweek match where there were times where I didn't even know if there was a referee crew on the field, which was fine. I was actually okay with it. It didn't get out of hand, despite the fact that the referees really were letting a lot more play in this game. But let's get back to the beginning of where this game started tonight.
Yeah.
And actually a really nice night, probably beautiful down there for a game.
It
of
was
soccer.
really nice. Yeah, Chris and I were down there for this game, and absolutely gorgeous evening. Little cool, but that's kind of, I'll take a little bit cooler than a little bit hotter.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a great night for well, would have been a great night for a win.
Yeah. But for second time, their third time this season, second time this week, the Union do roll out a 3-5-2. A little bit different personnel because Lowe has the red, or I think he got a yellow card, and so that gave him, he had to sit for this game. No, he had I think I heard they said that he had a family obligation, something they had to take care of for.
Okay.
So they had to put Harriel in with Glesnes and Elliott in the 3-back. Then they still had Mbaizo. No?
Bizo came in the second half. So we had Wagner and Real were on the wings.
Okay, Real was on wide, okay. And then Flock was still the defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
And then they put it was a 3-5-2 because I know Carranza was up top.
Was Gazdag up there with them? I don't know.
Because it was Gazdag and Torres and Bedoya. I guess it was Torres and Bedoya in the midfield, and then maybe it was almost like a 3-3-2-1 or something like that, 3-4-2-1 or something like that, where it was Bedoya and Flock holding down the defensive side of it, Torres, Gazdag being part of the attack, and then Carranza up top. They called it a 3-5-2, but looking at that personnel setup, they made it work. Not quite the same way, but I'm wondering why Curtin decided to go with that. If it was a availability decision that he made that choice to go with that. But it was good to see Real get a start.
Yeah,
and Harriel.
Yeah,
it's good to see him putting some trust in those two players in particular. And we're gonna need them, especially with as much as Brandon Craig and the young guns are gonna get called up. But because McGlynn was out for this game to the youth national team, and it was good to see Torres on the field.
Not to get too far ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Torres is my man of the match, with a close second with Wagner. But so many guys were and even Flock. I thought Flock was absolutely hustling today. Not that he doesn't hustle, but he was effectively hustling. Like, he was getting into the mix with so many.
He's starting to get comfortable in that 6th position when he has the right support. I think with Bedoya out there with him, with Flock, when Flock plays that 6, like, he's just more comfortable.
Yeah. And Christy, you point out too that Bedoya is, for being one of the elder statesmen of the team, he's still surprisingly fast. Like, he
is. He doesn't have that look of having tremendous speed like Papa used to, or like Carranza did tonight, or even Torres. But but he covers. I don't know how he does
Yeah.
it, but he covers a lot of ground really quickly. He just doesn't.
He kind of tilts forward from the waist and just kind of follows the mask. Just follows his shoulders.
Yeah, wait.
It's the segue effect.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight to the man. I mean, I agree. He can really cover some distance.
And he was hustling the whole game.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to jump too far ahead. But yeah, it was nice seeing Torres start. Holy cow, that guy was just watching it live too. He was just dancing on the ball. Like, yeah, the ball staying with his feet, multiple defenders challenging him. Ball stays at his feet. He's kind of, bobbing and weaving through. I mean, maybe not 100% successful, but it's he's one of those players on the field, like, you cannot give this guy too much room, and he was just I felt like it was from the midfield forward, he was involved in the play. He was just hustling.
And nimble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's so quick too. He's got those fast feet. There was one breakaway opportunity where he took it into the center and he drew both of the center defenders to him. And he had, I think it was Flock out to his left, and he did not lay the pass off to Flock when Flock was in wide open space. Now, Flock didn't get in his face afterwards, but I mean, he just got his head up. He could have gotten that ball out there, and I guarantee that Flock would have tried to find a pass back to him for an opportunity. That said, yeah, I agree. Torres was really good out there tonight.
And the Union started off with their foot on the gas, I thought. Like,
well, they got a goal. They got a goal, and Torres scored it.
Yeah, they got the ball in the back of the net
in like the 6th minute or something like that.
And just watching it unfold, every move was deliberate. It wasn't like nothing rested on chance.
That was, I'm trying to remember, out left, was that Wagner that made that pass up the field to Carranza, and then Carranza laid it into the middle, and Torres
that would have been
powered it in. I mean, obviously, it was pretty clear on replay that Carranza was offside by about 2 yards.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it really was a nice set of plays.
It was 100% deliberate. Nothing was, left to chance.
And, I get that they're trying to, change the way they work offsides, but I really wish when it was just obvious that it was offside and there's no reason to really let the game play continue, just wave your flag so that we don't have to even get to the goal. It was a good 3 to 5 seconds between when that pass was made offside to when Torres put it in the back of the net. You could have waved them offside well before then.
I agree with you. I really don't I don't get the benefits of it either. Like what the benefit of waiting those 5 seconds would be.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that if there is another foul in the play, you have a chance to call that. And I don't have a problem with referees being more deliberate between blowing when they blow their whistle. Like I want them to be deliberate and know that there's something wrong. But when it's clearly that there's something wrong, and it's not like it's a bang bang play and something's gonna just blow the whistle and call the offsides.
Well, related to that, and this is probably a minor point, but sitting in our seats watching, so we're on the side, right, that you can see on television, right? The cameras face our side of the stadium. Yeah. So there were a couple of plays. I still remember the Union had the ball. They were up the left wing. They were on DC side, so they were near the river end, and the ball goes out, and the line ref holds his flag up to point in the direction for the Union, but the main ref calls it and for DC, and then immediately the line ref switches the direction. And I know there's a hierarchy of who makes what calls and all that, but it really felt like the two line refs were just waiting for what the main ref was doing, and okay, yeah, it's on them. Okay, I'll hold it.
I mean,
it wasn't always, but it felt like that. Sorry, go ahead, Nate.
Sorry for this, but I ref, and I feel like when I ref, we all in agreement that if the line ref's there, he's generally closer, and generally he's the one who gets the deliberation. I think that you're right, as in they're just when they're changing like that, it feels like you're not really sure what's happening, even though it really should be them with the call.
Yeah.
Well, the referee in the center, they're the ones in charge.
Right.
Yeah.
The assistant referees on the sideline have no true authority there.
Yeah.
He can ask for them.
Yeah.
They're ARs, assistant
Yeah.
referees on the side. He can ask them for what they see, but he makes the final call. And if he makes the call for DC, then the flag just points in whatever the center ref is calling. So it's not really a ambiguity about what they saw. Like he may have flagged it indicating, hey, I think it went out and it should be a union throw. The center ref thinks no, it should be that, then he's got to change his flag and go back.
That's right. And that totally makes sense. And I can't imagine there's that much, slack in the rules for calling stuff that would allow such bad calls. So, but it was still like,
I like the referee tonight, though. I mean, there's always plenty to complain about, but I really did appreciate that the referee was letting some of that physical play go. It didn't get out of hand. Like he didn't let it get out of hand. I think when Oregon went down and Gajdag eventually just had to basically grab the ball off the field just to make it clear that this was, hey, he needs to be taken care of. That was a little uncool, but same point, he was following the rules. And if it had been DC get player down, he probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I think in the stadium it felt, and it always does, right? You have the home crowd influence, but it felt like he was actually letting too much go.
Okay.
So he was missing calls. And just sort of not keeping up with the play.
So
but
it's
it's
a lot of, hey ref, your socks have holes.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of it.
A lot of it. Okay.
Yeah,
was a lot.
there was quite a bit of that. I mean, we're always going to hassle the ref, unless we're absolutely destroying the other team. But it's this did feel a little bit like he was missing some things truly, and without trying to put away my bias for a second.
Right.
But it's always difficult to say because you have very different views from the stadium versus from the television.
Yeah, I didn't get my phone out fast enough. My tired old phone that takes about 20 minutes to switch apps. But I wanted to at least get audio of the audience chanting. What were they chanting? They were busting on the ref.
Right. I mean,
well, while you're doing that, I just got to get a little bit on the soapbox here as a volunteer with the local soccer league and stuff like that. I have stopped yelling at referees. And even at the union games, I don't say anything about the referees because I know how hard that job is.
Sure.
And I know how much abuse they get at that level, but throughout the level of soccer. I mean, like the amount of abuse that Nate gets on the field refereeing 3rd and 4th grade soccer is absurd.
Well, let's be honest. The world turns on what happens on a 3rd and 4th grade
Saturday.
Saturday.
The fate of the world is in your hands, Nate.
It's pouring rain. Everyone's supposed to go home anyway.
And so, just as a request for anybody listening, be kind to the referee. The referee is somebody's brother, sister, mother, father. They're just doing the best they can, and try to be nicer to them. Anyway, so what were they saying in the stands?
I feel like you should have a bumper say, referees are people too.
Nice, right?
They were basically chanting "Ref, you suck," but it was full course.
To be clear, sorry, Nate, go ahead.
I was just saying, I both agree and disagree. It's kind of fun. I agree with you in the sense that they are human, and I ref, and I know that it is not nice. However, sometimes you really just want to get a little bit mad at them, and sometimes it's just okay.
You want to get mad at the refs,
yes.
Not as a ref, you want to get mad at the fans.
Yes. Well, yes. Also at the refs sometimes when you are a fan, I can kind of see it. I mean, like if you're letting things slightly get out of hand or you're acting too much, I can kind of get it. However, your socks have holes is a little bit rude. They're pushing it.
I don't want to tempt fate, but it would be pretty awesome during a game if there was ever a parent yelling at you. You'd go over and just give them like the red card and have them leave.
I have thought about that too many times.
So I do remember, I think it was a game you guys may have been at when we were, it was a couple of years back. There was a guy in our section who had a few too many, and he was incredibly blatantly over the top with the 4-letter words.
He was really,
and eventually a grandfather behind us stood up, turned around, and said, "Can you not see that I'm here with my grandkids? Get your language under control." And for the rest of that game, it was about the 30th minute of that game.
Yeah.
That guy came up with some of the most creative ways to criticize the referee. And he had the entire section laughing.
We were cracking up. I mean, credit to that guy, right? And the stereotypical guy at the game, drinking a lot of beers, being really ugly and belligerent at the ref. And for someone to basically say, "Hey, can you tone it down?" That's like pouring gas on the fire. Usually, right? But credit to that guy. He took that criticism and he turned it around. I still remember he's like, "Ref, I politely disagree with the call that you just made." Oh my gosh.
I recommend that you see a vision specialist.
He reads in the car. He's been preparing for the last 5 minutes for a situation just like this.
It's like he had a team of writers like, "Here, try this one next." It was
such a great response too.
And in all honesty, that I would appreciate much more than just the constant, 4-letter screams. Oh yeah.
That was
great.
That is definitely one of the highlights of
for sure.
Now, as far as this particular Union DC game, they got into the second half, still running the same 3-5-2. Curtin did make substitutions, pulled off Torres and was it Real? No, who did he pull off to put Mbaizo in? Because he ended up putting Mbaizo and Martinez, and Ora came back in. I thought Ora was injured because he wasn't even on the game day 18 for Colorado. And essentially, he just put back our starting lineup of the 4-4-2.
Yeah, Mbaizo replaced Harriel.
Okay, that's what he pulled. Harriel, Real, and Torres to put on Ora, Martinez, and Mbaizo. Yeah,
that's right. Because Martinez came in for Real and Ora came in for Torres.
Out left.
And then Pereira replaced Bedoya as well.
That's right. Pereira was on at the end of the game.
Yeah. Also worth noting, Wagner, Nate, literally had holes in his socks. Like both of his calves, they had like
huge
saucer dish size holes in his socks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, even with the switch back to the 4-4-2 in their starting lineup, that goal just kept evading the Union.
I was surprised because we were sitting there watching the game, and I think I texted on our group channel. I was like, the way both DC and the Union were playing, they were really throwing punches at each other, and it really came down to their defense and their keepers to stop it. And
Blake did.
Blake was busier than I like to see Blake busy. So I really felt like there was a couple goals waiting to happen in this game, and maybe if it went on 15 more minutes, we might have seen a goal or two, but it just never came to fruition. Not for lack of trying or attempts.
All right, before we move off of this unfortunate 0-0 draw, that free kick by Elliott,
yes,
from his own half of the field, like 65 yards away, that DC keeper was playing with fire. The way he kept cheating out of his goal mouth, and Elliott put it over him. He had the right height. He was about 4 yards to the right, and it would have been a goal.
Just to totally nerd out MLS, it was very much a Danny Cepero New York Red Bulls against Columbus Crew back in whenever. Same thing. He had that free kick about half field, and the Columbus keeper, I can't remember who it was at the time, was so far out that this ball just sailed, and he scrambled back trying to stop it and went right in.
I thought you were going to make a Ted Lasso reference to Zava scoring the goal of the first game that he played. He had Jamie Tart tap it off to him, and he scored from midfield the very first.
The very first. the first second.
Instead, deep cut for MLS.
Yeah, that was far more impressive.
Yeah, I think Shep Messing was one of the commentators for the game. So I'm really dating myself here.
Wow,
But
yeah.
that Danny Cepero goal was just I mean,
It's like I was definitely not born when that happened.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I felt like a nerd before, but never on like, something that's gonna be out there.
Nate, just give yourself some time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the game ended disappointing 0-0 draw, but at the same time, I'll take a point.
Yeah.
It's actually they made the commentators made a point or made a comment that it was the 5th point that the DC has taken from the Union in their last 14 matches.
Okay.
Well, that says a lot right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time DC came to visit Philly, I believe it was either the 6-0 or 7-1 drumming. That was part of that just on fire series of brilliant games.
Maybe that's why I felt like even the first half, like DC was playing like the game was almost over. I feel like the goalkeeper's holding the ball a little bit longer. They're like, after the past few times we've been here, if we could just walk out 0-0, we'll take it.
The goalkeeper was playing like they were in an elimination game in the World Cup. Because like in the first half, he was up in practically in the midfield. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned him, right, Paul? He was like out of his box. I mean, he was way out of his box. It was very strange. And I think he kind of reined it in the second half, but I found that very odd. And very dangerous too.
Yeah,
like I always
could have punished him for it.
Yeah.
It's like
it's just not say that.
Yeah, and I feel like the Union were like picking up on the fact that this guy is so far out of the net. Like we need to really start going for it.
Taking some chip shots.
Yeah.
So any other comments on that in this game?
I mean, I know 0-0 draw is like the most boring game, but as 0-0 draws go, I thought it was still pretty exciting because I really felt like the game was fairly open. The teams kept going back and forth. Like I said, it came down to those keepers and like a defensive man just like Wagner came sliding in at the last minute when I forget who it was for DC.
There was that scramble in the box.
That shot, and he got his body in front of it. And so as 0-0 draws go, I thought it was still pretty exciting.
It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
It was a disappointing. I mean, 0-0. My least favorite score is beyond losing. Obviously, but and
yeah, I mean
midweek 0-0 is even more insulting. But you're right. It was a much more interesting game than say like the Red Bulls game where we actually won. But that was very sneaky.
Yeah.
I believe Paul said, like they sure did run around for 90 minutes. So, this was much more interesting. It really did feel like something more was going to come of it. We had a lot of shots that were just wide, just this, just that.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anybody put it off the upright, although they did put it off the crossbar. Benteke did put it off the crossbar with the header.
I forgot that Benteke was with DC United. I was like, who's this guy? Is tall? Like, who is this forward?
Yeah.
And then it's all Benteke. I'm like, wait. I knew he was in MLS. I totally forgot he was in MLS. Yeah. So.
All right. So 2 games done. 4 points out of a possible 6. I'll take that anytime.
Yeah.
And one of them being a shutout.
Yes.
And the other one was only a PK goal.
Yeah.
So, not bad.
Hopefully this is the beginning of the upward trend, right? That the Union now have, unfortunately, fewer distractions.
Well, the Union have what, 3 wins or 4 wins and a tie in the last 5 season MLS matches, I believe.
Is that our
in the last 5?
Wow. Okay.
Bit of good news because of Wagner's goal in that Colorado game and his play. He did make the team of the match day for that game against Colorado.
The dude hustles, man.
He does.
He really hustles. I hope we can keep him for a while.
I mean, even if he goes overseas, I hope we get paid for him.
Well, that's
and to be fair, I mean, I think Real are starting to come along, and maybe Curtin's going to be willing to trust him, but it almost feels like he thinks Real might be better fit in the midfield.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what they do.
also returning to form. When Martinez got subbed back in the second half. It wasn't. He did get his.
That's right.
He did get his mandatory yellow card, or not mandatory. What's the word?
Like one of those like when you go to like an
Obligatory.
ice cream shop, or like you have a little carbon cuss and you get like 10, you get free one.
Get a punch, like
You get like a free ice cream and stuff like that. It's like red yellow cards.
There was a Phillies game back in the I want to say it was Dykstra might have been in there. It was like one of these really hot summer days, and it was like 115 degrees out on the center field, and he didn't want to be out there, so he made a play and he got a hit or something like that, and he stole a base, and he got called out, and he got in the ref's face and started screaming at the ref, and the ref just turned to him and was like, I have to be out here. You have to be out here. I'm not kicking you out of this game. I almost wonder sometimes if Martinez is just trying to get kicked out of the game. He's like, hey, I got a christening next week. I just need one more yellow card.
Yeah.
I won't be able to be here.
It is free ice cream tonight, so send me off.
But that one in particular, he ended up pushing a DC player, and that's here. They're going to go down.
There's no reason for it.
There really wasn't.
There was none, but
it was nice before the game to see Blake get that recognition. So from what I understand, it was kind of like commemorating his record-setting start. Where he now has the most starts in Union history. And they have a nice plaque with his signed jersey. And was it signed by the whole team? Did you happen to? I don't remember.
I didn't catch that.
But it was a nice little display box and pictures of it.
And he was out there with Curtin as well.
Yeah.
They were both kind of on either side of the framed jersey.
Yeah. That was a nice little, hey, good job kind of a thing. And
I think he actually hit the landmark during the Toronto game, but since that was an away game, they did it tonight.
Okay.
So he has even more starts now, but yeah. So
whatever the count is, and start and counting.
Yeah.
Right.
And doesn't he have the other record?
They mentioned it. Yeah, I don't think this was explicitly in recognition of that, but
what record?
The 3-time MLS keeper of the year. Is that the?
Yeah, he's the only one to get three.
Yep.
Get the
only one.
Only person to have ever won it 3 times.
MVP.
Yep.
And then just a little bit on the fashion side. I don't know if you guys noticed the Love Unite warm-up tops that the Union rolled out for this game.
No,
we rolled in.
Yes, right on time.
Right on time.
Just right on time.
Yeah, midweek games are hard to get there for any of the warm-up. Yeah, they look okay. I mean, I'm not a big warm-up top fan. It's not like it's something now, if they came back with a cool Bethlehem steel throwback, that was just such a cool logo and everything.
Yeah.
But it was nice of them to do that.
I did see images of it before the game, and it did look pretty well designed. I liked it.
So next week, the Union have a little bit of a breather after about 2 or 3 weeks of 3 games a week. They only have one game next Saturday. So it's Saturday.
Between the Union and us, we're gonna have all this free time.
I just said 3 days from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they're off for 6 and
they're not
7
going to know what
almost.
to do with themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that means that is a game against New England. They are facing New England here in Philly. New England is in second place currently, and they're doing very well. Much as whatever you feel about Bruce Arena, he does seem to know how to get his team playing.
That's dog. They are. I mean, I'm sure they're a very strong team. If you actually look at the numbers, it's nothing insurmountable. It shouldn't be on paper. I was unsurprisingly just looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're leagues ahead, but or streets ahead, depending on if you're a community fan. So I guess we'll just see that.
Well, then the other thing, if the Union want to be known as one of the best in the league, they have to beat the other best in the league, and they should beat the best in the league when they're coming into Philly.
Right.
if Martinez is healthy and if Oro's, getting back to full health, I could see him rolling out the normal lineup. I don't think that he'd go with the 3-5-2 for this game. I would expect him to stick with the 4-4-2 and to come out trying to win it.
I wonder with the 3-5-2. I mean, we're only 13 weeks into the season, but the Union do tend to play that more defensive, quick counter transition style, and switching that 3-5-2 doesn't seem to support that strategy necessarily, unless you're playing, I guess, defensive midfielders as well. But yeah, I'm just curious with this switching to a 3-5-2, if that's what he does, Curtin does for the New England game. But is that showing is he trying to switch to a more possession style?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's just another tool.
Yeah.
To stay with the same play style. I still think they will be a transition, hit you fast kind of a team. But I think that they're going to probably go back to the 4-4-2 as long as Oro is ready to go back in. I really do think that it was probably more like a 3-4-2-1 tonight with both Torres and Gazdag out there. Because neither of them really play striker the way that, certainly not the way that Oro plays it. He's just so fast.
Yeah.
He just goes after that defensive gaps all the time throughout the game. So it'll depend. I think if Oro's fully healthy, he'll probably get a start and they'll play with two up top.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think it's going to be a hard game, because Carlos Gil is so good. You can't really put it past him. I think I might have to steal Christie's scoreline and go 2-1 Union.
2-1 Union. I'm just remembering from the movie The Crow, right? It can't rain all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, the New England can't. They got to start losing sometime. So why not next weekend?
Well, my scoreline was already achieved on a game which I did not predict it, because that's life. I'm actually going to go 1-1 in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
1-1 Union, right?
1-1 Union.
1-1 Union, exactly.
Union. Yeah, a draw that feels like a win.
Yeah, right.
I do think they need to, and this is just from purely watching the second half of that game, that they need to tighten up the holes in the defense in the second half, because I was sitting there thinking this looks like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
A couple times.
I agree.
There were a couple times where they got darn lucky that somebody didn't.
I agree.
And realized they had no thing. There was one of the players, I did not catch his name, from DC though, and he had just turned the other way and shot. He would have had a good chance. I mean, Blake could have very well stopped it, but he was wide.
Yeah,
Blake is still Blake.
But
he is human.
The defenders were not watching at all. So
Kai Wagner's not going to be able to slide in and save all these shots.
Yeah, it's like Blake is Blake, but Blake is only Blake.
Yeah. That should be a t-shirt.
There's a Zenko on in there somewhere.
How are you?
Well, none of us are ever going to pick the Union to lose, right? So,
we probably will.
Maybe one day.
At some point.
We did actually.
One day
did.
over the rainbow.
It's me, surprisingly, but
It's a relative quick turnaround, right? So we had Colorado last Saturday, we had DC tonight, and then we have New England. Yeah, it does feel like it's a lot, especially going up against New England. I would say 2-2 draw.
Okay.
I want some high scoring games.
yeah, that would be nice.
I mean, I'd love it if they were for a Union win, but I don't know. I feel like we just got to get through this weekend and then they can finally start resting.
I do feel like things are improving. I feel like tonight they looked like a strong mid to lower top of the half of the table team, but they didn't look like
world beaters.
Much more beyond that.
Yeah.
They're looking stronger, but and maybe with the improved focus
It's still a lot of
They will.
games, even
Still a lot of
even
games.
after losing both the Champions League and
Right.
and the U.S. Open.
We played a lot of
Yeah.
games that did not actually count towards the season, as we've talked about. So,
Yeah.
So it is still technically early in the season. So
We're only about a third of the way into it.
changes can still happen. And now with, all the things are hopefully going our way. I hope we keep the trajectory the way it's been going, but.
So Nate, do you have a prediction for this game against New England? Because we're actually going to this one.
Ooh, this will be a good game.
I'm gonna actually agree with C on this one. I think it's gonna be 1-1.
1-1.
I think that both teams are pretty good. It's relatively balanced, especially since teams have been coming back up recently. They've really gotten that better. And I feel like it's gonna be a fun game. I see what you mean by high scoring, like higher scoring in form of 2-2. But I feel like it should be the goal is gonna be a bit better, and some of the shots that you think would be in the net, I'd say they're gonna be the same.
All right.
You still you're giving Blake more credit than I am. Yeah, no, and you're probably right, and I hope you're right.
All right. Well, so that's the only Union game for next week. So we should be able to get back to our recording time on Tuesday.
Tuesday nights, Wednesday
Distribution.
Exactly.
Thanks for stopping off today to make this recording.
That's just cool. I mean, whenever, I don't know, we'll have to try to make this happen again. It's nice actually just to not stare at everyone's faces through these glass rectangles.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll with Nate being done classes and finals now, crazy.
Yeah.
We'll have to see about maybe getting either have you down again on a weeknight or we can get up there.
But hopefully going forward we'll be back on record Tuesday night, posted on Wednesday.
Yep.
So thanks for putting up with our late show this week.
Yeah.
So but it just the way the schedule worked, it just made sense to wait after this DC game.
Right.
Well, just as a reminder, if you can find us at amorephillyunion.com. You can email us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. Our Twitter account is amorephillyu. Instagram and YouTube are amorephillyunion. You can get our podcast wherever you get yours. Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, spread the word. We're trying to get that number up over 1,000 as fast as we can. Help us help the you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of More Philly Union. We're your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Eric.
Go Union.
You should probably mention that it's like the first in-person since.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
What a good idea.
Yeah, there you go. First in-person recording.
There you go.
Also, very late.